悪霊退散.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're doing another video in the series of every tech. I gotta come up with a name for this, huh? Now that I think about it, we'll worry about that later. We're focusing on covering every Tekken character one by one, A through Z in alphabetical order. We did Akuma, now we're doing Alex, and we're going to try and basically talk about their overall impact, talk about their story, and talk about the gameplay of the characters. So with Alex, the first thing you have to talk about is him being a dinosaur. Everyone loves Dinosaur. Every little boy out there loves Dinosaur. They had the dinosaur toy. If not, your childhood was trash. Dinosaurs are awesome. And then also the type of dinosaur that Alex is. Where's Google Translate? I had it.
Dromaeosauridae.
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 Dromaeosauridae. This dinosaur was popularized by Jurassic Park. I should have looked it up, but I wonder what year the first Jurassic Park came out and when Alex appeared in Tekken 2, because this is something that Tekken has done throughout its whole lifespan, where a really popular movie would come out and then they would have a character to match that, right? Blade and Raven. You can even say Victor and John Wick. You know they wanted to get John Wick in Tekken, but that deal fell through. So the fact that we get a QCQ character who's used all these John Wick type weapons, wears in a suit and everything, talks real, suave, you could kind of see that trend still continues today. Also Law and Lei and whatnot. The dinosaur trope, really cool. I think that's like a big part of Tekken is like the animal characters, because a lot of people remember Tekken to be super grounded and super like realistic, and it is. Is debatable, but it was. One thing that they did that kind of always spices up that conversation and makes people play you got to keep in mind they had the bears, they had the dinosaurs. It just was a cool part of Tekken that we didn't really see the other fighting games do, because you have Mortal Kombat, Tekken, and Street Fighter. Those are the big three. And you can even talk about of that era, Virtual Fighter. Tekken was the only one who had these like animal creatures, and it was so cool because casuals, they just love it. The bears, the reason why they put two of them in the game, the reason why they put Roger in season 3 is because when a casual player sees an animal, they're like, I can play as that in a fighting game. It has to be that like little kid inside of all of us that used to play with these toys as we were little. It has to be something like that, because that's why we love it and that's why everyone else loves it. And also too, this ties into him being kind of a comic relief character. His story, which we'll talk about in just a second, is kind of tragic and a little dark and a little like, it kind of speaks back to that different era of Tekken. But what the character is and what he represents is more so of a comic relief. Most of his endings are like very hee ha ha funny, slapstick kind of jokes. He had a cutscene in Tekken 2. No, he had a cutscene in Tekken Tag Tournament 1 where he was playing rock, paper, scissors with Yoshimitsu. And since he has boxing gloves, he could only throw out rock every single time. And that guy Yoshimitsu is a demon. He didn't hold back at all. He just straight up smoked him 3-0, right? So you can see like the comedic elements was always existed in the character, going all the way back to the origin. And by the way, Roger or Alex only appeared in Tekken 2. That's the only canonical inclusion of the character. With Roger, which is the character who is like tied to him through story and whatnot, you would wonder, will he be mentioned? Will he be referenced? Will there be something in the battle pass for him? Because when we then talk about the story of Alex, the age is unknown. I looked it up, and obviously Google could be just feeding me nonsense, but it said that dinosaurs live to the age of 23 to like 34. Some dinosaurs could live up to 100, but the type of dinosaur that he is like could be like 20 something years old before they kind of are done. Funny thing is, Tekken 2 and Tekken 8 is about 21 to 23 years apart. So he still could be very alive and well and somewhere out there. And one of his endings, he was released back into the wild and he's just out there. So that's going to be my canonical ending for the character, because I would love for him to show up in one way or another, maybe in the background of a stage. If somehow they do like a future stage where it's like a jungle or like a forest, it would be cool to just see Alex roaming in the background, rampaging or something, that would be really cool. But for his actual like origins of the story, he started off as a science experiment. You know, Kazuya was doing evil things when he was in control of the Mishima Zaibatsu. Like, one thing is kidnapping Nina, harvesting her eggs, and creating Steve. Who knows how many times that was done, and who knows what the true purpose of that experimentation was. Diabolical work, Kazuya. Explain yourself. Twitter would like to have a word with you. But then another thing he was doing, Kazuya not only is out here, look, we're going to talk about Kazuya later. That video is going to come soon. But another one of his experiments was dinosaurs, genetic transmutation of them. He had Dr. Boskanovich create these creatures. The first one is Roger. And Roger is, you can see through the Tekken motion picture that he is just this harbinger of death. This poor innocent kangaroo was turned into this punching and killing machine, and that's all he can comprehend. And Alex is the next evolution of that, where, okay, we did this thing with a kangaroo and it worked, so now let's do it with a dinosaur and let's unleash that onto the world. And Alex, he's kind of described to be like a baby. Same thing with Roger. But if he grows up, what it says in the Tekken 2 lore is that he will become one of the most deadliest and dangerous creatures on the planet. I want to see that. Alex was already kind of this very smart, this very capable creature back when we seen him in his infant state. But if you give him time to like roam the wild and grow, you know, what will he come back and be? You know, I would love to see that. Next thing, gameplay. So for gameplay, the thing about him that's interesting on the gameplay side is that, of course, he is a grappler Mishima hybrid. Basically, what that means is he has a lot of the king's throws, right? So he could giant swing you. I think he has some other throws as well. But then when he wants to, he can waifu. He has a tail, and with that tail, he could do a hell sweep. Very long range. If you guys dislike Reina's hell sweep, you won't like Alex's hell sweep either, because it's roughly that range. He also has like moves from Dragunov. The Wikipedia said that one of his main tools is an unblockable. I just say all of these things so you guys can understand, like, even though the character is really cool and people love the idea of the character and he's a gimmick character, he's a troll character, but when you give him so many different tools that we have existing with other characters, you could just imagine how that will exist. A wavooing, hell sweep, electric using, throw using grappler, but also has unblockables. That sounds like you are just creating the most diabolical character ever, you know? And this is the same thing about Roger, because Roger has a lot of that stuff too. With these characters being so cool, coming from a unique idea, but on the gameplay side of it, it gets very like a lot. And then also when you talk about Tekken 8 already being so much, you know, in terms of like defense as a whole, you just wonder how they would tweak it. They would tweak it for Alex, but they are going to tweak it for Roger. These characters, in my opinion, are really cool, and I think they should always be a part of Tekken, because kind of how I said at the beginning of the game of this video, where like you really don't see this happen with like other fighting games too much. Some of the anime fighting games, they do it, but like with the main three, this is kind of like Tekken's signature tool. And until we see something like this come from Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, I think this is like Tekken's ace. And even though the most diehard don't really like care for these animals, they want like Miguel and stuff, me personally, I just love it. And it's always, and the fact that they're bringing it back, it just shows that Tekken can still be Tekken. I'm very excited for Roger's inclusion, but I would like to see Alex get a little bit of love as well, because I think his story and just what the character means is equally as important as the other. Check out the other videos. Maybe I'll create a playlist. Bye bye.